আমরা মোটামুটি ভাবে রেকর্ড করে রাখি, আজকে টাইটেলটা লিখিনি। আজকে আমরা যে টপিকটা করব দ্যাট ইজ অ্যাকচুয়ালি টার্মড অ্যাজ দি প্রিন্সিপাল অফ ইম্পালস মোমেন্টাম। সরি, ইট ইজ কল্ড প্রিন্সিপাল অফ ইম্পালস অ্যান্ড মোমেন্টাম। So this will be the name of our today's topic. Acha, 59 I will start recording because the recording takes time to get activated. তো বিশাল, মানে তোমার কি আজকে সব ওই ল্যাটারাল এন্ট্রিতে জয়েন করার কথা?
ইয়েস স্যার, লিংক তো পাঠানো হয়েছে।
ঠিক আছে, ঠিক আছে, সে জয়েন করবে কি করবে না তার ব্যাপার, আমি মানে বাট দে উইল বি কামিং টুডে ক্লাস, তাই তো? এইটা হচ্ছে ব্যাপার।
স্যার আছেও স্যার, কয়েকজন আছে।
আচ্ছা, কয়েকজন আছে, আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, সে থাকুক। So let us now going for the recording of this, start the recording of the class, and you also parallelly do your recording because it takes time to get activated. Okay, today we will be going to the start the what is called the another chapter that is called the principle of impulse and momentum. This is again an alternative method of solving the dynamics problem using Newton's method. So again, this method, like the principle of work and energy, is an alternative approach to solve the problems of kinetics. And where we can apply this principle of impulse and momentum, now when actually your forces are function of time. So when the forces which are given are functions of time, are functions of time, that means they are having some time function, say f of t, and normally it is expressed as the force f bar, let us suppose the vector, it's a function of time t. So whenever we have the forces being given by the functions of time, and secondly whenever we see that our question is to find out the velocity of the particle after certain period of time. So when velocity is the unknown thing, correct? So when velocity is basically the unknown and the forces being given are functions of time, there we will be using this principle of impulse and momentum. So that is the scope of work when we will be adapting this method. Secondly, unlike the case of work and energy, principle of work and energy, where we know that we can discuss or deal with a subset of free body diagram or called active force diagram, that means with lesser number of forces, we can deal with them in case of the work and energy principle. We need not take into account all the forces because some of the forces will not be contributing anything in the work function and we will ignore them, correct? So we have to deal with them the case of, we have to deal with them the case of the active force diagram. But unlike that, in case of the impulse and momentum, you have to deal with all forces. So you need to consider all forces, including the reaction forces, including your normal reactions normal reactions or reactions associated with immovable supports, normal reactions, and reactions associated with immovable support points. So there, this is one demerit of this particular method, support points. This is another demerit. This is one of the demerits actually, because we cannot simplify our number of forces and we cannot reduce them. So we need to carry out with all our, the forces and everything. So that is the, the case of the impulse and momentum. But before going into this, let us first study what is actually meant by the thing called impulse. So impulse, it is a vector quantity. First of all, the nature of this quantity is that it is a vector quantity. Unlike the work, which is actually the scalar one, but here we have to deal with this impulse, which is a vector quantity, and it exists for a force. That means we can have the impulse of a force, and that impulse of a force is basically, called as the linear impulse. We term this as to be the linear impulse, right? And it can get associated with a moment. It can get associated with a moment also, and that impulse of a moment is basically called as the angular impulse. So we term them as angular impulse. So impulse therefore is of these two types. It can be associated with a force, it can be associated with a moment. Correct? So before going further,
Yes, sir.
going forward, we must actually, state what is basically an impulse. Now the linear impulse, in our case, we will define it by the symbol capital I bar. So since it is a vector quantity, so we will define it with a vectorial notation, and I will say right in this manner. This is I bar, which is the linear impulse. And the angular impulse, we will define it by the symbol J bar. That means the impulse which is associated with a moment of a force. We call them as, yes, bolo. Chu bolbe?
बोला ओके सर.
Acha, okay. So this is called the angular impulse. So how we can define them? For example, we can define the impulse of a force. Suppose we are given a force and for which is actually, is a function of time, because we say that in the beginning that we will be going to take up only those forces which are actually expressed mathematically as a function of time. So suppose we have a graph in which we plot on the x-axis the time, and on the y-axis we can have the force. Of course, in this group, it includes the constant forces also. Because constant forces can be considered as the function of time. For example, we can have a constant force graph which is something like this. So here, that is also taken into the case of our impulse. That means if we are given a constant force, we can also apply this principle. You remember, constant force can also be considered as function of the position. That means if in a system we are given a constant force, there in that problem we can apply both the principle of impulse and momentum to solve. So that actually constitutes a very, the powerful method of dynamics, where in a dynamics problem we need to apply simultaneously the principle of work and energy and the principle of impulse and momentum. But that we have to remember is ideally suited for the case when the forces involved are basically constants, because constant force can be either viewed as function of position or it can be viewed as the function of time. So therefore we can apply both the principles to them. However, if we do not have a constant force, Suppose we are given a time varying force. The graph is something like this. This is a time varying force. Okay. Now we will be given two time intervals. So let there be two time intervals. One is say time t1 and another is say time t2. Okay. So if we are given these two time intervals, right? So in that time, out of these two times, any one I can treat it as the initial time and the other as to be the final time within that window. So how we can define the impulse of a force between these two time levels, say T1 and T2? Now we can express this impulse between the two time levels, say T1 and T2, we can express it like this, that it is 1, I bar 2. This 1 indicates the initial position, initial time, and 2 indicates the final time, much like our 1U2 kind of notation. So this is 1 I bar 2 is equal to integration from time T1 to T2 F bar dt. So this is the actually the, as I told you, is a vector quantity, and this is how we can define the impulse of this force between these two time intervals T1 and T2. Okay, so we have, therefore this is being given by this. Now in our two-dimensional system, we know that the force can be expressed in I and j components. So if we follow that, I can write this integration as, say from T1 to T2, I can say this is fx I cap plus fy j cap, that we can write in place of f bar dt. Okay, and for 3 dimension you can have, of course, fz term is also there, or it can be expressed in the r theta coordinate system, or it can be expressed in the normal tangent coordinate system also. So we can see from here that 1 I bar 2 thus can be written as integration from from T1 to T2. This is the integration, say T1 to T2 fx dt I cap. This is fx dt I cap, plus we will be having integration from T1 to T2. This will be fy dt j cap. So we can break this equation in these two ways. So we can write it in this manner, correct? We can say that we can take this in this manner.
Yes, sir.
Right. So actually thus we note that this integration is getting divided in this manner. And I can write that this is basically equal to the left hand side. I can say 1I to x. The x component, because it is a vector, so it does have its x component and y component. So I can write it like this. I can write it in this manner, that it will be I cap plus it will be 1I to y. This will be j cap, and that is actually being given by this thing, integration T1 to T2 fx dt I cap plus we can say it is integration from T1 to T2, right, fy dt j cap. So we can write it in this manner. So we can say it in this way. So if you balance these two, this is a vector equation. So if you balance the coefficients of I cap and j cap from either side, what you can say is that you can write 1I to x, and this we will define as the x impulse of the force. That means we will be having some axis x and y, and in these two perpendicular axes, if you have the impulses, individual impulses, so we can say x impulse of the force vector f bar, correct? And that we can write it as integration from t1 to t2 fx dt, assuming that fx is basically a function of time or it can be constant. Similarly, if you see from here 1I2y, correct? The y component of the impulse will be now given by integration from t1 to t2, right? This will be given by fyt dt. So these are therefore, the definitions. Actually, these are, these are actually the scalar quantities. These are the scalar components, scalar quantities, but as a whole, the whole thing is basically the vector. But when I calculate the component, it becomes the scalar one. So we see that this is the situation. But you need to remember, although I say that this is a scalar quantity, but you need to take into account the sign of fx and fy. That means if fx is directed along the negative x-axis, then we need to put a minus sign here because the x component of the impulse will be simply in the negative direction. Similarly, if fy is a negative quantity, you have to take into account the sign. As like a vector has the positive scalar components or negative scalar components with respect to some axis directions. So therefore, we see that this is the definition of the impulse of a force. So this is the actual definition, 1 I bar 2 equal to t1 to t2 f bar dt. And if you simply consider, suppose this is, giving you the, this is showing you the variation of the x component of the force F with time. Say this is your Fx. Let us suppose this is your Fx. And we can have Fy. Let us suppose this is Fy. That means you can have a mixed kind of description. One component of the force can become function of time and the other component can be jolly well constant. So you have these variations. So when I am doing actually evaluating these integrations, because these are definite integrations, so it means that basically we are trying to calculate the area under these diagrams. That means if I consider the x component of the force and its variation, this being given by this blue curve on the top, when I am calculating this integral, basically I am trying to calculate this area. Basically I am trying to calculate this area. So the area under fx versus t diagram will give me the impulse of that x component of force. Exactly in a similar manner, when I am calculating this, I am actually calculating the area under this fy curve, suppose with this between these two time intervals. So in this case, if your fy is constant, let us assume this is the hypothetical case. Just for an example, I am showing that suppose your fy component of the force is constant. So under such circumstances, the area under this will be marked by this green, this one. So it will be the area under this rectangle only. Correct? So this is how therefore we can compute the impulse. And another thing that we need to remember is its unit. As you know that the units are very important for all physical quantities. So in SI system, SI unit, SI system, standard internationally, in SI system, we will actually follow the SI system in our class. In SI system, the unit of this impulse vector, say I bar, the unit of the impulse vector is being given by Newton second. So Newton second is the unit. Sometimes it is also expressed little bit, the awkward unit for this impulse is kg meter second to the power -1. How it is coming? It is coming from the fact that Newton is basically it's a compound unit. We can express it in fundamental units like kg into meter per second square, and since one another second is multiplied, so ultimately the unit becomes something like this. So this is your unit for the SI system. So that is about the impulse of a force. What about the impulse of a moment? Or this is also known as the linear impulse. Or what about the angular impulse? So much like the same manner that we have already defined for the linear impulse, we can say 1 j bar 2 that represents angular impulse. It will be representing integration from t1 to t2. This is m bar, say it is a function of time dt, plus it can be also this integration t1 to t2 r bar cross f bar t dt. What is this second part? The first part is simple because we know that the impulse, linear impulse, is the time integration of force. So from the common sense we can say that the angular impulse will be the time integration of the moment. So this is the first part. We don't have any doubt about it. But
Yes,
what
sir.
does the second part represents? Now the second part basically represents the moment created by the force F bar T acting on a body. That means supposing I have a body like this, say this is a body, and on that body, suppose this is a body, and on that body, let us assume that there is some time varying force F bar T is acting at some point. And we are trying to calculate the impulse. Angular impulse is always calculated with respect to some point, because we know that we cannot, otherwise it will become meaningless. Because if we say moment of a force, it does not carry any meaning until and unless I mention moment center, the specification of the moment center. So therefore this also needs the specification about which point you are going to calculate this angular impulse. Let us suppose that there is a point called O here, say this is the point O, and we are trying to calculate this angular impulse about this point. So we can write it about point O, and that will be equal to the moment. That means this moment will be any moment which may be acting on the body. So this may be the moment vector which may be there acting on the body before that, and this is the force vector, and we try to calculate the moment of this force with respect to this point. And therefore what you need to do is, you know from your knowledge of statics, engineering mechanics, first year, first semester, that if you consider the position vector of any point on the line of action of this force vector, let's say this is the point A. So if I take the point A on the line of action of this force vector, then the position vector of that selected point on the line of action of the force vector, if I consider with respect to this point O about which I am taking this moment, then that position vector, if I call it as R bar, that means if I call this position vector as R bar, then take the moment of this force and consider the impulse of that. So ideally, therefore, the angular impulse consists of, as I said, angular impulse about a point will be equal to the impulse of the total moment of the forces and moments which are acting on the body about the point O. So this is an example. We consider a body, and on that body we have two force, one force and one moment. Both are considered as functions of time, and by reasons we do not know, we will explain later, due to some reasons we need to take the moment of their impulses about the point O, and accordingly we will be getting this angular impulse, and it can be expressed in this manner. So this is what is actually meant by about this angular impulse. Now if I consider the SI system unit, the SI unit system of this angular impulse vector, that means this J bar, its unit will be what then? So obviously its unit will be thus, it will be actually, Newton meter second, because the moment is having the unit of Newton meter. multiplied by second, so it will be given by Newton meter second, or it can also be expressed as kg meter square, correct, into second. So we can express as this we can write it as, sorry, second to the power minus 1, second to the power minus 1. So it will be kg meter square second to the power minus 1 will be, yes, will be the unit for the angular impulse in case of the SI system. So therefore, students, we introduce to you, and like the other things, say for example, if all these are planar system, as we are dealing with planar system, and suppose our planar system consists of this axis x and y, then obviously it is to be understood that this impulse will be actually about the z axis, which is coming out from the perpendicular to the plane of the paper. So actually this is, we can say, this is 1 J2O k cap. This is actually the vector representation of this impulse, because all our forces here are two-dimensional in nature, and therefore their moments will be actually a vector which will be perpendicular to the plane which contains them. So this is therefore the total description of the impulse vector, angular impulse vector in this case. Now, having discussed this principle of the impulse, how we actually say that impulse is, let us now introduce another concept which we already know, but just quickly brush through. That is the concept of momentum. That is the concept of momentum. And this is momentum, again, can be classified into two groups. One, we will call it as the linear momentum, about which we have been conversant so much. And then we will be having another thing which is called as the angular momentum. So let me first define the linear momentum. Linear momentum vector, here we will define it by the symbol. We will prescribe certain symbol to define the linear momentum. The linear momentum vector will be defined by g bar, and angular momentum, this is a vector quantity. We need to understand this is a vector quantity, and the angular momentum about some point, let's say point O, we call this, we define it by the symbol h bar O, right? This is how we do it. Now, how we can write the linear momentum vector? Now that is very simple. The linear momentum is nothing but mass of the particle times the velocity of the particle. That is your mv bar. The unit of this is kg meter. This is kg and this is meter per second. So it is kg meter per second. Or we can write it kg into meter into second to the power minus 1. That means sharing the same unit of I bar, which indicates that there must be a strong relationship between the linear impulse and the linear momentum vector. Now we come to define the angular momentum. Angular momentum is also known as moment of linear momentum, right? We can call it angular momentum, or we can call it as the moment of a linear momentum. What do we mean by that? For example, let us suppose that we have a body, and on that body, suppose we have some point here, correct? And that point is having, or it may not be a body, it can be a point also. So let me just delete the boundary of the body, delete the boundary. Say, let us consider that this is the mass particle. This point describes the mass particle, and it is moving with certain velocity. So that velocity is v bar, and we note that this is our linear momentum vector. And if we take, say, some point, let us say point O, then we can take the moment of this vector also about point O, because any vector can have moment with respect to some point, whether that moment, এই দেখো এবার কি আসছে, see, Subodip Patro, next day he will not be allowed to come to the class. Shubhadeep, next day you have to come to the class on time. So we see that this is your linear momentum vector, and any vector is bound to have certain moment with respect to some point. Correct? So whether that moment will be having any physical meaning or not, that is a separate thing. But mathematically, we can always calculate, given a vector, we can calculate its moment about any point. So here we have this moment vector, and we have this point. So I can have the position vector of any point belonging to this line of action, and I can call this vector as r bar. Now, once I call this vector r bar, then I can say that the angular momentum vector about the point O, that means h bar O, will be given by this equation, that it is equal to moment of this linear momentum, and we can write it like this. So it is h bar O is equal to r bar cross mv bar. So obviously the SI unit of this will be what? This will be kg meter per second into meter. So it becomes kg meter square per second. Again we see that the same unit of j bar. So we can anticipate that there must be a strong correlationship between these two vectors, as we will see now. So therefore, students, we have in the first half an hour, we have been able to introduce to you the concept of impulse of a force and the concept of the momentum. Now, once we do it, now we try to come and apply try to forge these two concepts to formulate our basic principle. Now, for that, you need to remember our Newton's equation. Now, Newton's second law, as you know, notes that summation f bar, say we write this as only f bar, which represents the resultant of all the forces. We know that this can be mathematically written as like this. So we see this, we can write m dv bar dt, dv bar dt. We can write it like that. Now we can therefore say from here that f bar dt, this we can transfer it here, this becomes m times dv bar. So now if I integrate this equation between the two time limits, say t1 and t2, assuming that this force can be expressed as function of time, because we will be dealing with only those classes of problems. So we can say this is f bar dt, that will be equal to integration from time t1 to t2. This is m dv bar. For a constant mass, I can write this integration as t1 to t2 d of mv bar, or we can write it as integration from t1 to t2 g bar dt, or we can write this as g bar at time t2 minus g bar at time t1. So you see, so many things we can write it here. Now focus your attention on the left hand side. What does this represent? Obviously it represents the impulse of the force between these two time limits. So therefore I can write that 1 I bar 2, that means the impulse of this force between the two time limits t1 and t2 is being given by g bar at time t2 minus g bar at time t1. Sometimes this is also written as delta g bar, right? So you see, this is looking pretty similar to our work energy equation. You see, our first work energy equation that we write is what? It represents 1 u2 equal to delta t. So something like that, we have this equation, 1 I bar 2 is equal to delta g bar. The difference is that, yes, bolo.
স্যার ওখানে জি ক্যাপিটাল জি ডিটি আসলে ওটা তো ডি এমবি, ওটা তো ডিজি হবে স্যার।
হ্যাঁ কি বলছো?
এই যে ডি
ও ওখানে সরি, ওটা ডিজি বার,
ডিজি বার তারপর ওটা জি।
Sorry, yes, absolutely correct. Let me just check this one. Thank you. So this was actually dg bar, correct. So it is dg bar, this is dg bar dt. So we see, oh, dt to thakbe na, this is md bar, so it will be dg bar, our dt ta extra chole gelo, that. And the limits will be here, of course. We need to change the limits because now the integration has to be done with respect to your momentums. So it will be integration from g1 bar to g2 bar. Right? So you see, this is the equation that we are getting. This particular equation is termed as, this equation is basically called as the principle of, or equivalence principle of impulse and momentum. Because we just see from here that the impulse of a force is equal to the change in linear momentum. So this is what is termed as the principle of impulse momentum. Now we can observe from here that this is actually true for a single particle. But if you have a group of particles, like the thing that we had done in case of our work energy equation when we talked about multiple particles, correct? So here also this equation can be extended for a group of particles interconnected by means of certain constraint equation. And we said that when we will be taking our next chapter, in case of the dynamics of group of particles, there we will see that the particles may not be dependent on each other. They can be independent also. But that will be a general discussion. We will not enter into that right now. Let us consider that we have a group of particles. Maybe say this is one particle here and this is connected by means of a spring and we have another particle there. So you see, this will constitute a group of particles. One will be having the mass m1, another will be having the mass m2, moving together under actions of certain forces. So we will constitute a group of particles interconnected by means of some constraints, correct? So under such circumstances, you see, this equation can be extended for the entire system, and we can say sigma 1 I bar 2, which represents the sum of all the impulses which are acting on this group, right? Say maybe there are certain forces like this, there may be some forces here. So you need to take into account the free body diagram of the system, identify what are the total forces acting on this group, and take the individual impulses of all those forces, sum them up to represent the resultant impulse vector, and that must be equal to the change in the resultant linear momentum of the system. So therefore, this concept of which has been used in case of a single particle can be jolly well extended to a group of particles which are interconnected with each other and having some dependent motion. And again, I am telling, we will be further generalizing this equation in our next chapter. So this is therefore our impulse thing. Now, if suppose it is found that if it is found that there are no external forces acting on this particle in the case, right, in the group of particles. Let us suppose we have a group of particles and there are no other external forces which are acting on this group of particles, but they are in motion. Obviously then this will be a null vector, because if there are no forces acting on that group, then it will be definitely a null vector. So if that is a null vector, what I can see from that it should be delta G bar, that should be also equal to a null. So what does that mean? It means that your G bar will be equal to constant. And this is what is termed as, this principle, it is termed as the principle of conservation of linear momentum, which states that if in a group of particles, if they are moving in such a manner that there are no external separate forces acting on that group, then we can say that the total linear momentum of that system is going to be conserved. That means whatever it was the it was having, that group was having initially as its momentum. After some time, the momentum will remain the same. But this may not be true for the entire. Suppose we consider this example. Let's take that in place of this, I show it by this. We have a train-like compartment scenario, and we have that these, these are compartments are, it's moving on a flat level road, frictionless, or you see the friction is minimum because we have rollers here, and say they are given some initial velocities, and after some time people are trying to ask you what will be the velocity of these individual particles. In that case, if you see that there are forces acting on the system, it does not mean that there are no external forces acting on the system, because if you consider their individual weights, the individual weights are acting. So we cannot say that no forces, external forces are acting on the system. And there are the normal reactions as well, because you know that we have to show all our reaction forces, all our forces. So there are weights, there are normal reactions acting. However, it is noted that if we take this as the x-axis, we see that if we consider this surface to be frictionless, or friction in the roller action is neglected, we can say that along the x direction there are no external forces acting on the system. So it means that the linear momentum, total linear momentum, we can therefore say that the total linear momentum of this system along the x direction, sum gx, this is going to be equal to constant. This sum indicates, means that it is the total momentum of the system along the x direction is going to be conserved. However, we need to remember that if there are certain velocities, suppose, for example, hypothetically we consider that these particles are also having some velocity in the y direction. In that case, we cannot say that along the y direction the momentum is going to be conserved. So therefore, we need to open our eyes, see the free body diagram and look for it, and then try to identify whether there is any principle of conservation of momentum is there or not. So that is the thing that we need to remember. Now, once I describe this concept of what is called as the relationship between the linear impulse and the linear momentum vector, much like the same way we can now describe the interdependence between the angular momentum and the angular impulse, but we need to think it in some other manner. For example, suppose we have a moment, or we have a force which is acting on a particle, and we know that, suppose we have, say, there is a force here which is acting, and we are trying on a particle, and we are trying to calculate its moment about some point O. So this is a fixed, this is a point O, and we are trying to calculate this moment. Say we have this r bar, correct, and we have this force vector f bar. Then we know that here the moment vector about point O will be equal to how much? So we see that this becomes r bar cross f bar, correct? This is the moment vector that we are getting. So we know from here, if particularly this f bar is a function of time, then this moment will also become function of time, and we can write that j bar 1 to 2 is basically equal to integration from time t1 to t2 r bar cross f bar t. This is our definition if we have a force and we can associate the angular impulse with that force with respect to some point. This is the definition. Now we know that the angular momentum vector about this point O, we can write it like that. This is h bar O, that is being given by r bar cross mv bar, that already we know. Now if we differentiate this equation with respect to time, either side, what I will be getting is something like this, dho bar dt, that will be equal to, this will be an UV method of differentiation. So we will be having dr bar dt cross mv bar, this is a vector product, plus we have, this is r bar cross d dt of mv bar. So we can write it in this manner, correct? Now once I write this equation in this way, I can see if we go to the previous equation, just going to the previous equation, we note from here that dh bar o dt, thus it will be equal to what? Now this dr bar dt will be actually equal to v bar cross, this is mv bar, plus we have, this is r bar cross, this ddt of mv bar means this is dg bar dt, and we know that dg bar dt is basically equal to the force vector, and we know that the cross product between the two same vectors is going to be null. So I can therefore say that this is a null vector, the first one, and the second one I can write that this is r bar cross f bar t, because we know that f bar t is equal to dg bar dt, right? Time derivative of the linear momentum of the force. So we can write it like that. So I can write that this is nothing but your m bar o, because r bar cross f bar t, we have seen r bar cross f bar t is basically m bar ot. So we have this. So ultimately what we can prove from here is that we can write that m bar o is basically can be written as the rate of change of the angular momentum with respect to point, much like its linear counterpart is f bar, that is equal to dg bar dt. It is the linear counterpart of this equation. This is for linear motion, this is for angular motion. So you have m bar o equal to dho bar dt, which means that if we now side transfer and just make this equation available, we can say that this m bar o, and you must remember that this m bar o represents the moment of these forces, plus it can be there, any external moments can also be there into your system. So we can take this to be representing actually the total moment that is acting on your system, and that will be equal to, from this equation we can say this is equal to dh bar o, and now if you integrate it between the two time levels, obviously what you see from here, 1 j bar 2 about point o should be equal to delta of h bar o. So you see again we are getting an equivalence relation. We are getting an equivalence relation between the angular impulse and the angular momentum vector. So these two equations together, I mean to say this equation and you see the previous one, that means this equation, these two equations taken together, we say that they constitute what is termed as the principle of equivalence of impulse and momentum of a system. And here again we may like to see that if there are no external moments acting on the particle about some axis, correct, the total angular momentum of that system about that axis is going to be conserved. For example, suppose we have a satellite which is moving around the Earth in an elliptical orbit, keeping the Earth as one of its focus. Correct? We know from our Kepler's law that this is going to be true. And we see that the force that is acting onto this satellite is obviously Newton's gravitational force, universal gravitational force. And what is this force? This is the force F. And we can see that this force F is basically equal to Gmm by r square. The magnitude of the force is like this, where r is the distance between the center of the earth to the center of the satellite. Since this, r distance is away from this direction, this is the sense of r. Actually, there is a negative sign here. That negative sign indicates that the force is opposite to this vector r, the radius vector r. And if you see from here, as the particle, I mean to say the satellite will be at the different locations on this elliptical orbit, everywhere. Suppose after some time the satellite comes to this position. So there also you see if the force will be like this, and the line of action of this force will always pass through this point of, the center point of the earth. So this type of forces we basically called as the central forces. And you see that if you take the moment of these central forces about this point O, about the point O, which is the center of the earth, this is going to be 0, because the lines of actions of the forces are passing through this point. So therefore, it shows that since its moment is going to be 0, we can say that the angular momentum of this satellite is going to be conserved. So what does that mean? It means that m into v into r, that is going to be constant. This is going to be constant. So it means at the farthest location, the velocity of this will be going to be minimum, and at the nearest location of this from the earth, the velocity of the satellite is going to be maximum. Why this is minimum at the maximum position and why the velocity is maximum at the minimum position? It means that one is called the apogee, another is called the perigee. So apogee location and perigee location, there you see that the velocities will be extreme. Either it will be minimum or it will be maximum, correct? And this happens because throughout the motion, the angular momentum of the satellite with respect to the point O is going to be constant. So it is because of the fact that the line of action of the force is actually passing through the point of the moment center. So that can be the possibility when your angular momentum is going to be conserved. That is number one possibility. And number two possibility is that when the force, right, is acting parallel to the axis and is going perpendicular to the axis, in both these two cases, the moment of the force is not producing any moment about that axis. Let us try to explain what I mean to say by this. Suppose I have a cylinder. Suppose I have a cylinder like this. For example, I have a cylinder, say vertical cylinder, it's like that. This is a cylinder, okay? And this is your vertical axis. This is entirely in the vertical direction, okay? Now, what I see, I allow a particle, okay, to roll down inside this cylindrical surface by means of this, the helical path. Say it is coming down like this. It is coming down like this. So at any point of time, if I know what is the velocity with which it is coming, I can calculate the velocity of the particle at any position on its trajectory. How I can do it? Simply considering the angular momentum of this moment vector about this axis is conserved. Why it is so? It is because, if you consider any arbitrary position of the particle which is sticking to the inside surface of the cylinder, let us suppose, say if you consider and take the side view. So you see this is your particle and imagine that this is your cylinder internal surface, okay? Now you see here, and this is your axis of the cylinder. Let us suppose this is the axis of the cylinder. Now what I try to see from here, what are the forces that are acting onto your system? Obviously the self weight mg, which is parallel to this axis, and there is a normal reaction offered by the cylinder wall. If you extend this normal reaction, it comes and cuts this axis. whatever be the position of this particle on the surface of the cylinder. So you see, since this force is parallel to this line, this is not going to produce any moment about this axis. In the same way, since this line of action of the normal reaction is passing through the point, it is intersecting this axis, therefore we know from our knowledge of statics, engineering statics, that in this type of forces are also not going to produce any moment about this axis. So I see from here, if I call this axis as the Z, I find that the total moment about the Z is going to be 0. Now, since it is going to be 0, it means that the angular momentum about the axis Z is going to be constant. So, using this principle, I can calculate the velocity. If I know initially the velocity, if I know the initial angle, then I can calculate the velocity and the angle of that the particle will make at any intermediate position by just simply using the principle of conservation of angular momentum about the z-axis. Please, you should keep it in mind that whenever you are referring to the angular momentum, you must refer to the point or to the axis, because you know it is very fundamental. It is not something very new to you, because in your engineering statics lesson, you know that the moment about a point and moment about an axis of any vector. Given a vector, I can find its moment about any point. Also, I can find the moment about some axis of that vector. Normally, it is true for any vector, but since we are dealing with mechanics, all ours is not any vector, but it will be either a force or a moment or a couple or some momentum vector, something like that. So in mechanics, we do not deal with arbitrary vectors. All our vectors have some physical significance. So you see, but ideally, mathematical point of view, you see that any vector will be having a moment with respect to a point, and it can have a moment with respect to a line, right? So it's called as the moment about an axis. So here it's an example that the moment about the forces, these two forces, about this axis, z-axis, is going to be 0. And since it is going to be 0 about that, we can very easily say therefore that its total angular momentum about the z-axis at the various locations is going to be constant. So that is the principle of conservation of angular momentum that we can apply here to formulate our problem. So
sir, you did not mention about the centrifugal force in that part where you have drawn the FBD.
Please identify who has asked this question. Ke go eta Anirban naki?
Sir, Ravi Kingshuk.
Kingshuk, acha. First, Kingshuk, you need to remember that there is no force, such force called centrifugal force. Egulo hocche ki jano to? Egulo hocche by the virtue of the coaching centers and the competitive exams, people have these concepts. There is no force in the art called centrifugal forces. Centrifugal force bole kono force exist kore na. They are all mathematical contrivances.
Okay, sir.
এখানে আমরা যে ফোর্স গুলোর কথা বলছি all are physical forces. They exist. কারণ ফোর্সটা এক্সিস্ট করতে গেলে ফোর্স ইজ হোয়াট? ইট ইজ এ অ্যাকশন বিটুইন টু এজেন্টস, তাই না? তাহলে এখানে এই এজেন্টটা আছে, সেন্ট্রিফিউগাল ফোর্সে কোনো এজেন্ট নেই। সেন্ট্রিফিউগাল ফোর্স হচ্ছে ডিয়ালামবার্টস ফোর্স, which is called fictitious force. সুতরাং তোমার কোশ্চেনের আনসারটা তুমি বুঝতে পেরেছো? আমাদের কোনো রকম কিছু জিনিসের ধরার দরকার নেই, বিকজ ইট ক্রিয়েটস এ লট অফ কনফিউশন। বিকজ আমরা ছোটবেলার থেকে সেন্ট্রিফিউগাল ফোর্সকে একেবারে কুলুঙ্গিতে বসিয়ে দুর্গা ঠাকুরের মতন তাকে ভক্তি ভরে পুজো করছি, বুঝতে পেরেছো? মাথা থেকে মুছে ফেলতে হবে, একদম ডাস্টার ইরেজার দিয়ে এই কনসেপ্ট গুলো মাথা থেকে তাড়িয়ে দাও, না তাড়ালে কিন্তু তুমি ডায়নামিক্স এর প্রবলেম সলভ করতে পারবে না।
Okay, sir. অবশ্যই
বুঝতে পেরেছো?
হ্যাঁ স্যার
Undo all
অবশ্যই।
your undo মানে my advice, দেখো আমি কাউকে ছোট করছি না, হ্যাঁ, with full respect to your school teachers and coaching center famous teachers, with full respect to them, please undo all the things that you have learned thus far, otherwise you will not be able to learn the things here. ওই মাথার মধ্যে যদি ঢুকে থাকে ভূত সেন্ট্রিফিউগাল ফোর্সের, তাহলে কিন্তু খুব সমস্যা হয়।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, we can understand because this is engineering dynamics and what we have studied at the school level, that was basically physics, so there is actually a demarcation, so we need to identify that.
রাইট, সুতরাং এখানে ওই সব কিছু মানে কুসংস্কার বাড়ির বাইরে তোমাকে ফেলে রেখে মানে একদম ফাঁকা মাথায় তোমাকে ক্লাসে জয়েন করতে হবে।
অবশ্যই স্যার এই কয়েকটা সময় ডাউটস চলে আসে, তাই আপনাকে জিজ্ঞেস করি।
একদম কন্ট্রোল অল ডিলিট মেরে দাও, বুঝতে পারছো?
ওকে যে সিটিআরএল ডাল, ঠিক আছে,
একদম কন্ট্রোল অল ডিলিট মেরে এখানে ক্লাসে ঢুকবে, নাহলে কিন্তু খুব মুশকিল কিন্তু। আচ্ছা, আমি এগুলো জোকিংলি বললাম, কিন্তু আমার কিন্তু কোনো অবজেক্টিভ নেই কাউকে ডিসরেসপেক্ট।
obviously sir.
So this is the thing, just sharing my experience with you. Okay, so you see, therefore we understand what is actually meant by the concept of this impulse and the momentum, and you know its equivalence, and we also have touched upon that from there we can actually formulate the principle of conservation of momentum both in the linear and in the angular momentum cases. So with this modest introduction, please go through the textbook, because আমার এই ক্লাস নোটটা কোন রকম ভাবেই কিন্তু টেক্সট বুকের সাবস্টিটিউট নয়, সুতরাং টেক্সট বুকটা ভালো করে পড়তে হবে, ঠিক আছে, to have the good concepts. So let us now take some examples to actually further actually reinforce our things. So again আবার আমার সেই প্রবলেম বাছার একটা এ নিয়ে আমি আসছি আর কি, যেখানে আমি অনেকটা জিনিস দেখাতে পারবো একটা প্রবলেমের মাধ্যমে। So let's see that we take up this problem first. This problem number 3/194. Let's take this problem and place it in our board. So it is something like this. This is the problem. Okay, I think you are all able to see this. So you see that this is the system which is being provided. It's unfortunately an FPS system problem, but again don't worry about the units, as I have already told you that all our problems will be given in SI system. It is said that we are being given a block 100 pound, this is pound, 100 pound block is subjected to the time varying force whose magnitude is shown in the plot. So you see there is a force called P which is acting on this block, which is placed on a surface and which is rough. You see here both coefficients of static and kinetic frictions are provided, and there is a force called P which is its magnitude is actually varying with time by this diagram that has been provided here. What we have to find out is the speed of the block at 4 different time levels: at t equal to 1 second, at t equal to 3 seconds, at t equal to 5 seconds, and finally at t equal to 7 seconds. Note that the force becomes 0 at t equal to 6 seconds. So this is the problem. I hope that you have understood the problem. Now, as I see that I have already cautioned you that it is this method is having a demerit, that you need to show your free body diagram and show all the forces that are acting onto your system. So we quickly try to draw the free body diagram here. Suppose this is your block, okay, and this block is actually it is subjected to this force that is P, okay, and then we have its weight which is W, that is 100 pound. Pound is the unit of weight here, or you can convert it to poundal, but we are sticking to this. And we see that here there will be normal reaction, capital N, which will be acting like this, offered by the surface, and obviously there will be a friction force. So this is your friction force. And since there is a static coefficient friction is provided, it means that you need to actually, you need to actually investigate whether there is at all any motion or not, because there is a case of static coefficient of friction being provided to us. So you see from here that N is here, it is how much? It is 100 pound, because in the y direction there is no motion, acceleration. So it means that the forces are in equilibrium in the y direction, and we have, say, suppose this is your x-axis. Let me draw the thing. Say this is your x-axis, and let us suppose that this is your y-axis. So we see that since there is no acceleration in the y direction, so normal reaction must be this. And as this is our normal reaction, so it implies that our static friction force, Fs, is going to be equal to how much? Now that is going to be equal to mu s times n. Correct? So mu s times n means that it is 60 pound. So because your mu s is provided 0.6. So 0.6 into 100 means it is 60 pound. So it shows therefore, as long as P is less or equal to 60 pound, there will be no motion at all within the system. So that is actually the significance of providing the static coefficient of friction in your problem data. I have shown such types of problems also in our previous class when static and kinetic both friction data are provided. And I repeatedly tell that you have to be very careful first to ascertain whether there is any motion or not, because you are provided with the knowledge of the static coefficient of friction. So you see therefore that P becomes less or equal to 60 pound in this case. So it means that we have to note when this 60 pound force has been overcome. So look at this diagram. We note that the force is actually attaining its magnitude. It is varying linearly from this zone to that zone. And you see that it is attaining this 80 pound in 4 seconds. So it means that this equation of this line, if I try to see, let me use a different color. Say we note that equation of this line is going to be equal to what? It is going to be equal to 4t plus 20. That will be going to be my equation. Is it okay? Yes, it is okay. Because at t equal to 4, we see it is, it is how much? It is 4. 80 minus 20 hoche, oh sorry, 15. 60 by 4 mane hoche 15. Sorry. So this must be 15t. Okay, I have made a mistake. This must be 15t. Now you can see that at t equal to 4 if you put and t equal to 0 you put, it fits the line equation. So it is P equal to 15t plus 20 is the equation of this straight line. Okay. So now we like to see when this becomes equal to 60. So it means that then I need to solve the equation. And I find that t becomes equal to 40 by 15, because if I said 15t plus 20 equal to 60, then the time that is required to attain the 60 pound force, because you see this is somewhere here it is 60, let us suppose this is 60, say this is 60. It means that I have definitely this time. So this is the time. Beyond this, that means from here to here, there is no motion, because my friction force will be strong enough to sustain this disturbance. Correct? So we need to find out this time. So how much it will be? It will be 40 by 15. So 40 by 15 will be equal to how much? Something more than, slightly more than 2. It is 2.67. So it means that up to 2.67 seconds, there is no motion. So it is from here the motion starts. And that means this initial part of this diagram is of no use to me. Now we have been asked to find out the speed of the particle at t equal to 1 seconds. So it is pretty clear that since t equal to 1 second falls within this dead band, it indicates that the velocity of this particle is going to be equal to 0. Please see, no impulse momentum principle is applied here because there is no motion. We can only apply this principle when there is motion. So for the first part, we do not have to apply any principle at all and just state that at time t equal to 1 second, the velocity of this particle is going to be 0. Now we are asked to find out t equal to 3 seconds. So let this be time t equal to 3 seconds. And you see from here at t equal to 3 seconds, if you plot this, if you take this, you just see from here how much is the force. So you just put t equal to 3 seconds here and you will find that this force will turn out to be as 65 pounds. So it means that t equal to 3 seconds, up to t equal to 3 seconds, we see that this force P is able to give you some impulse. And here it is in motion. So it means that since it is in motion, now this force F will become Fk, the kinetic friction force. How much will be its magnitude? It will be 40 pounds and it is going to be constant. So if you superimpose on this diagram the friction force as well, so the friction force is going to be like this. This green line shows you the friction force variation with time. Is that clear to you? So this represents your, I can say, this represents your Fk. That is going to be how much? That is going to be equal to 40 pounds. So Fk is 40 pounds. So this is the, the force diagram. Now, therefore, in order to find out t equal to 3 seconds, what I can do, I just apply the principle of impulse and momentum, and I just say from here that the total impulse between this 2.67 to 3 seconds will be the area under this trapezium and area under this rectangle, correct? And you need to remember that this is going to oppose. So this impulse is going to be positive. On the other hand, the kinetic friction force, because it opposes, its impulse will be negative. So I can therefore say, I can therefore write the impulse of this force from 2.67 to 3 seconds is half. You can do the integration, integrate this from 2.67 to 3. That also you can do. The other way is just to calculate the area under this trapezium, and the area under this trapezium will be half 60 plus 65 into, it will be 3 minus 2.67 means 0.33, right? Minus, this is minus because your friction is opposing, so its impulse will be negative. If I call the other impulse as positive, so I see this will be 40 into 3 minus 2.67 will be its impulse because it is constant, so it is the rectangle area. This must be equal to the change in linear momentum. The change in linear momentum means you need to take the mass. Mass is 100 by 32.2. This will be so much of, this will be its mass. So 100 by 32.2 into the change in the momentum, I mean to say the change in velocity. The change in velocity is here v3, that means velocity at t equal to 3 seconds minus the initial velocity, that means the velocity at t equal to 2.67 and it was g. So if you solve this equation, that means it is simple, 60 plus 65 by 2 means it is turning out to be 62.5. 62.5 minus 40 will be 22.5. So 22.5 into 0.33. So you can do it like that. We can cut short the calculation time. 22.5 into 0.3, right? চেক করে দেখো আমি কোনো ভুল করলাম কিনা 0.33 ইনটু 32.2 divided by 100, correct? So that will give me 2.391. So it indicates therefore that the velocity at t equal to 3 seconds is turning out to be as 2.391 meter per second. Is that clear to you? Now we have been asked to find out the velocity at t equal to 5 seconds. So t equal to 5 seconds is going to be somewhere here. Say this is the middle point, this is 5 seconds. So t equal to 5 seconds. Either we can start it from here. That means I can say the total impulse during this time interval 2.67 to 5 will be what? So I can say that the total impulse will be, now the impulse of the force P will constitute of this entire trapezium plus this small rectangle, correct? So we can therefore say for t equal to 5 seconds, let us write it like that, t equal to 5 seconds, we can say that it will be half into the total trapezium area is, this is 60, and how much this is 80. So it is half 60 plus 80 into 4 minus 2.67. That will be the area of the trapezium from here to here, plus this rectangle, because all this belongs to the positive force. So this rectangle is how much? This is 20. Acting time is only 1 second. So it is 20 into 1. 1 means 5 minus 4. Minus this friction, because that friction is continuously present up to 5 seconds and beyond. So we see therefore, as long as there is velocity, so we can therefore say that this will be 40 into 5 minus 2.67. So that will be basically equal to your, we know that this will be basically equal to 100 by 32.2, okay, into the V5 minus 0, because your initial velocity was 0. So from here, we can definitely say what should be my velocity V5. So we can write from here V5 will be 60 plus 80 means this will be going to be 70. So 70 we can say 4 minus 2.67 will be 1.33, I think, yes, into 40 না, তাই না? তাহলে এটা একটু ভুল করলাম, দাঁড়াও, it is 40 multiplied by 40. So this is 53.2, তার মানে এই রেজাল্টটা হলো 53.2, তার সাথে অ্যাড করি 20, this is 20, okay, minus it is 2.33 into 2, this is 2.33 into 40. So we say it is 40 into 2.33, okay, just check whether it is correct or not. So you see this turns out to be minus. So it means there is another, thing. That means that your friction, you see that your friction is quite sufficient to stop this particle somewhere between these 4 seconds and 5 seconds. See here, we note that this friction force is, that means up to 5 seconds, if you try to calculate it, this, you see your change in velocity, change in this momentum, this impulse totally turn out with a negative number. So it is not possible. It means that the particle has stopped somewhere. The particle has stopped somewhere. That means the impulse of this, I mean to say this force and the impulse of this friction, they actually cancel at some point. So just find out that time. That means if I suppose that this thing is going to happen after time t, so we can therefore say, we can just try to calculate this one, that integration from 2.67 to the unknown time t, I do not know that. 15t plus 20, that was our equation, you remember, 15t plus 20, that was our equation. And here I have to check that this t is going to be less than 4, because t beyond t equal to 4, this equation is not there. So I just find out this impulse, right? This impulse, how much is this impulse is going to be? So it is going to be 7.5 t square plus 20t, 20t, and the limit is from t to 2.67. So what you need to do is 7.5 t square plus 20t minus, কিছু অসুবিধা হলে বলবে কিন্তু
স্যার V5 টা 6.40 আসছে।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ,
V5 এর ভ্যালুটা।
ও তাই ভুল করলাম নাকি আমি?
হ্যাঁ
আচ্ছা
স্যার,
হতে পারে, হ্যাঁ হতে পারে, কিন্তু আমার এই ক্যালকুলেটরটা না এখানটাতে মাঝে মাঝে খুব একটা সমস্যা হয়।
ওই স্যার 60 প্লাস 80/2 তে আপনি হচ্ছে ওটা 50 ধরে ফেলেছিলেন।
ও
70
আচ্ছা 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 আচ্ছা, থ্যাংক ইউ। তাহলে এটা ক্যালকুলেট করলে, আমি তাই ভাবছিলাম যে একেবারে এত অব্দি দিল, তা অনেক সময় দিতেও পারে, আবার মেরিয়ামের তো বলা যায় না, অনেক রকম প্যাচ পয়দার থাকে ভেতরে। সো সো অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমি বোধহয় তাহলে ক্যালকুলেশনে ভুল করেছি না। এটা কত হবে, তার মানে 1.33 ইন্টু 40, চট করে নি, 1.33 ইন্টু 40 না, সরি 70 হবে না। সো ইন্টু 7, এখানে বোধহয় 40 লিখে ফেলেছিলাম বোধহয়। 70 প্লাস এটা হচ্ছে is equal to, আচ্ছা প্লাস 20, oh yes, minus it will be 40 into 2.33, correct. Thank you Vishal. So it is 19.9 multiplied by 32.2 divided by 100 turns out to be 6 point, এরকম আসছিল কি তোমার?
ইয়েস স্যার।
কি ঠিক আসছে কিনা বলো, দেখো দেখো আমার ক্যালকুলেশনে ভুল হতে পারে কিন্তু, জাস্ট okay. So the velocity turns out to be 6.41 meter per second. Oh আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, না হলে আবার খুব ঝামেলার মধ্যে পড়তে হতো, যেটা আমি দেখাচ্ছিলাম আর কি। ওকে, তার মানে ফ্রিকশন ইজ নট ইয়েট strong, that much strong. So you see it continues with this velocity. So at the end of t equal to 5 seconds we have this velocity, very good. And then we have to find out at t equal to 7 seconds. Now you see t equal to 7 seconds, there is no p force, but since at t equal to 6 seconds still you have velocity, so it means that still the kinetic coefficient friction force is active, because it will be active as long as your velocity is 0. So therefore up till t equal to 7 seconds, right, we have, this is t equal to 7 seconds, we have this negative impulse. So I can therefore say that, what I can write, for t equal to 7 seconds I just calculate the impulse of the friction force. So, and it is minus 40 into 7 minus 4, 7 minus 5, sorry, 7 minus, এটা কততে গিয়ে বন্ধ হয়ে গেছে, 5 না 6 তে বন্ধ হয়েছে, 6 এ বন্ধ হয়েছে, আচ্ছা তাহলে 7 সেকেন্ড, সো ইট ইজ, ও আচ্ছা আচ্ছা 6 সেকেন্ডস অবধি তো এই ফোর্সটা আছে, ও তাহলে আবার থাকবে না, সরি তাহলে ভুল বললাম। 7 সেকেন্ডসটা হলে আমরা, তাহলে আমাদের ইকুয়েশনটা হবে এরকম, you see now I just calculate it for, এইখান থেকে আমি ধরবো t equal to 5 seconds থেকে আমি ধরা শুরু করব। So t equal to 5 seconds থেকে যদি ধরা শুরু করি, I can see therefore that the impulse created by the force will be 20 into, so I can write it something like that. I can say that it is 20 into 6 minus 5. আমি এখন 5 সেকেন্ড থেকে 7 সেকেন্ডে যাচ্ছি, 5 seconds to 7 seconds. See, 20 into 6 minus 5. After 6 seconds, this force completely vanishes. And now you have totally the friction force, so 40. and the friction force is still there from, in fact, 5 seconds to 7 seconds, this friction force is there. So we can say this is minus 40 into this is 5 minus 7 minus 6. So we can now see that immediately we can see from here, this is going to be negative. This is going to be negative. So it means that,
5 হবে না?
হ্যাঁ
ফ্রিকশন ফোর্সটা তো স্যার 5 থেকে 7 পর্যন্ত
5 সেকেন্ডস থেকে, হ্যাঁ 5 সেকেন্ডস থেকে হবে। ও আচ্ছা, আমি এখানে কত লিখেছি?
7 মাইনাস
6, ও 5, তাহলে তো আরো বেশি হয়ে গেল, তাই না? So it means that here, see, this impulse becomes totally negative. তার মানে কি? তার মানে হচ্ছে যে as soon as you see your force drops, as soon as your force drops over here, it's becoming, you know, when after 6 seconds, say from 5 seconds onwards, if you see here in this zone, your 20 Newton force falls short of this 40 pound force. এখানে এই অবধি কি হয়েছিল? এই ইম্পালসটা ড্রাইভ করে এসেছে। নাও আর এখন কিন্তু এইখানে এই যে জায়গাটা, এখানে কিন্তু আর তোমার এই ইম্পালসটা কিন্তু কাজ করতে পারবে না, বিকজ ইওর ফ্রিকশন ফোর্স ইজ মোর। তার মানে কি হচ্ছে? তার মানে ইট শোজ দ্যাট ইওর পার্টিকেল উইল কাম টু এ স্টপ। সো দেয়ারফোর উই সি দ্যাট ইট উইল নট কন্টিনিউ ইন দ্যাট ম্যানার। তো আমরা এটাকে কি করতে পারি? আপ টু t ইকুয়াল টু 5 সেকেন্ডস আমরা এখান থেকে এই অবধি ইম্পালস ক্যালকুলেট করলাম। এবার বিয়ন্ড দিস, ইফ আই ট্রাই টু গো beyond this, we find that this driving force 20 pound, this driving force 20 pound falls short of, this becomes shorter than this 40 pound. So it means that you cannot drive this force because friction is more powerful here. So thus you can see that you cannot have this. তার মানে কিন্তু এটাই বোঝাচ্ছে 5 সেকেন্ডেও কিন্তু আমার এই জিনিসটা থাকবে না। আচ্ছা দেখো তো এটার আনসার কত দেওয়া আছে? আমার মনে হচ্ছে 5 সেকেন্ডেও এটা থাকার কথা নয়। 3/194। লেটস গো টু দিস প্রবলেম নাম্বার 3/194 and check the sum answer কত আছে দেখো। 194, সরি 194। হ্যাঁ দাঁড়াও, V5 দেখাচ্ছে 6.44 সেকেন্ড, V3 দেখাচ্ছে 2.42। আমাদের কি সেগুলো একটাও ঠিক হয়েছে? 2.42 ওকে, ঠিক আছে। V3 হচ্ছে 2.391, বলা যেতে পারে যে এটা ঠিকই আছে। 2.42, V3 বলেছে 2.42, তাও 2.391টা না হওয়া উচিত নয়, মানে এটা 2.4ই হওয়া উচিত। এনিওয়ে এটা হয়তো ক্যালকুলেশন এখানে হয়েছে, কিন্তু এটা দেখাচ্ছে হচ্ছে 6.41। আমার মনে হচ্ছে এই জায়গাটা গন্ডগোল হয়েছে, তার কারণ আমি এটা খেয়াল করিনি, এই জন্যই আমি থামতে বললাম। খেয়াল করিনি এখানে যে দেখো বিয়ন্ড t ইকুয়াল টু 4, দেখো যেই এটা 20 পাউন্ড হয়ে গিয়েছে, 20 পাউন্ড যেই হয়ে গিয়েছে, এইখানটায় কিন্তু তুমি আর এই ফ্রিকশন কিন্তু ওকে আর সাস্টেইন করতে পারবে না, বিকজ ইওর ড্রাইভিং ফোর্স ইজ p and that is up to 80. এবার এই 80 being greater than 40 was able to drive your system, correct, was able to drive your system. But now you see this is not going to, you know, contribute anything from here. তার মানে আমাদের t equal to 4 seconds পর্যন্ত আমাদের ভেলোসিটিটা কত হয় সেটা একটু বার করে নিতে হবে, not t equal to 5। তাহলে t equal to 4 seconds পর্যন্ত আমার ভেলোসিটিটা কত হচ্ছে না, সেটা হচ্ছে এই ইম্পালসটা, this impulse, that is how much is going to be। তার মানে দেখো এটা দাঁড়ালো হলো 1.33। একটু কমপ্লিকেটেড আছে কিন্তু এই সামটা দেখো, দেখতে কিন্তু খুব সোজা মনে হয়। 70 into 70, এটা যদি আমি করি, এইটা হচ্ছে আমার 93.1 হচ্ছে এই ইম্পালসটা টোটাল। আর ওই ডিউরিং দ্যাট টাইম আমার এই 40 পাউন্ড কতটা ইম্পালস তৈরি করেছে না, উই মাইনাস 40 ইন্টু 4 - 2.67 মানে হলো কত 1.33। So we see that this is 39.9. তার মানে 4 সেকেন্ড পর্যন্ত I have the positive velocity, and how much it is? You see, this is 39.9. তাহলে এটাকে 32.2 দিয়ে মাল্টিপ্লাই করা যাক and divide it by 100. I see that the velocity becomes 12.8478 Newton. So this being my velocity, 12.784 Newton, correct? And after that, you see there will be a deceleration in the system. There will be deceleration in the system because this 20 pound is there and this 40 pound friction force is there. So the velocity will therefore reduce. তার মানে দেখো t equal to 5 seconds এ তাহলে তো আমাদের এটা তো ঠিকই হওয়ার কথা। তাহলে এর আনসারটা এত বেশি দেখাচ্ছে কেন? 6 পয়েন্ট কত দেখালো? 3.1 6.44। আমাদের কত বের হচ্ছে? 6. আচ্ছা 44। ওকে, তাহলে আমরা এটাকে অ্যাকসেপ্ট করতে পারি। হ্যাঁ, উই ক্যান অ্যাকসেপ্ট। হ্যাঁ বলো। এখানটাতে ভুল হয়েছে নাকি? আচ্ছা চেক করে দেখি একটু। না, ভুল হলে একটু কারেক্ট করে নাও তোমরা, কারণ আমি তো আর এটা আগে থেকে ক্যালকুলেট করিনি, করে নিয়ে বসলে ভালো হতো। 62.5 ইন্টু দাঁড়াচ্ছে হচ্ছে 3 মাইনাস 2.67 মানে 0.33। তাহলে এটাকে 0.33 দিয়ে গুণ করলাম, মাইনাস এটা হচ্ছে 3 থেকে 2.67, সো মানে হলো কত 1. এটা হচ্ছে 0.33, তার মানে 40 ইন্টু 0.33। তাহলে এটার থেকে বিয়োগ করি 40 into 0.33, this into 32.2 divided by 100. বাবা, এটা তো এই আসছে গো, 2.391 ই আসছে। হ্যাঁ, সো অ্যাকচুয়ালি এতটা কিন্তু ভেরিয়েশন হওয়ার কথা নয় মিডিয়ামের আনসারে। I'll have to check it after the class and see the calculation. I think you do it at your own and just try to calculate this one. Again, you see then V5 is okay. আমরা 6.41 টাকে অ্যাকসেপ্ট করছি and this is approximately 2.4 বলে চালিয়ে দিলাম, 2.4 মিটার পার সেকেন্ড, and I think this is 6.44 and our answer is pretty correct, 6.44। এগুলো মিটার পার সেকেন্ড হবে না একটাও, এগুলো সব হবে ফুট পার সেকেন্ড, সরি, তার কারণে এগুলো এতে দেওয়া আছে, সো ইট ইজ ফিট পার সেকেন্ড। এনিওয়ে দিস উইল বি ফিট পার সেকেন্ড। আচ্ছা, তাহলে t equal to 7 সেকেন্ডসে তাহলে গল্পটা কি রকম ছিল? ইয়েস, তাহলে তো যা আসছিল ঠিকই ছিল। t equal to 7 সেকেন্ডসের জন্য যে ক্যালকুলেশনটা আমরা করছিলাম সেটা হচ্ছে কি 20, আমরা কত অবধি ক্যালকুলেশন করেছিলাম? 5 অবধি। তাহলে 5 এর ভেলোসিটি উই নো, t equal to 5 seconds, this velocity is known to us as 6.4 feet per second. That means up to this I know the velocity. So here the velocity is known, 6.4 feet per second, this velocity is supposed known. Now beyond this t equal to 7 seconds, আমাদের ইম্পালসটা তাহলে কি দাঁড়ালো? This is going to be my impulse 20 into, হ্যাঁ
স্যার ওই সামেশন ইন্টিগ্রেটেড ওভার এফডিটি ওটা মানে ইজিক্যাল টু এমভি করলে ডাইরেক্ট বি ইজিক্যাল টু 2.41 চলে আসে।
আরেকবার বলো, কি বললে?
ইন্টিগ্রেটটা ওটা এফডিটি ইজিক্যাল টু এমভি করলে ওই ভিটা 2.41 ফিট পার সেকেন্ড আসছে,
মানে এই জায়গাটায়।
হ্যাঁ, ওটা 2.39 যেটা আপনার আসছে।
ও আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, মানে তুমি ইন্টিগ্রেশন করে বের করলে। আচ্ছা,
2.67 থেকে 3 এর মধ্যে।
হ্যাঁ, হওয়া উচিত নয় এতটা ভেরিয়েশন, হাউএভার হতেই পারে, আমি সেটা নিয়ে কিছু বলছি না। ওকে ফাইন, তাহলে যদি সেটা হয় ইউ অ্যাকসেপ্ট দ্যাট ওয়ান, বাট ইউ ক্যান অলসো ডু ইট ইন দিস ম্যানার অলসো, নো প্রবলেম। এনিওয়ে দ্যাটস আপ টু ইউ কিভাবে যাবে। আচ্ছা, so to continue with this, thank you for your information. To continue with this, we say this is our impulse 20 into 6 minus 5. Although we are going for 7 seconds, but since this gets exhausted at t equal to 6 seconds, so we find therefore this should be 20 into 6 minus 5, and then there will be a this kinetic friction will be present because we assume still the velocity is there, so it is 40 into 40 into 7 minus 5, and that must be equal to 100 by 32.2, 100 by 32.2, 32.2 into V7 minus our now initial velocity is 6.4. So we take this is 6.4 like this. So if you just calculate it, then it must be equal to how much? This is 20 minus, this becomes 2 into 40 means 80. Okay. So it is minus 60 into 32.2. Okay. Divided by 100. Okay. This is minus. এই গন্ডগোল করলাম নাকি? ও আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, তার মানে এইটা টোটালটাই দেখো, ইয়েস, এটাকে ডিভাইড করলে দেখো V7 বিকামস, কারণ V7 কি এটার সাথে অ্যাড করতে গেলে 6.4 হয়ে গেল। তার মানে কি দেখো V7 বিকামস মাইনাস, তার মানে হচ্ছে এটাই যে ভেলোসিটি তো আর এখানে দুম করে মাইনাস হয়ে যেতে পারে না। তার মানে in between these 6 and 7 seconds, somewhere in between these 6 and 7 seconds, somewhere the velocity becomes totally zero. What it means is that whatever impulse it was having, এ দেখো 20 into 6 minus 5, এইটুকু ছিল আমার রিমাইন্ডার ইম্পালস, কারেক্ট? তাহলে এইটা ছিল হচ্ছে রিমাইন্ডার ইম্পালস ছিল হচ্ছে 20, আর আমার কনস্ট্যান্ট ফোর্স কাজ করছে কত? 40 পাউন্ডের কনস্ট্যান্ট ফ্রিকশন ফোর্স কাজ করছে। সো ইফ আই সাপোজ দ্যাট দিস, এই যে 6 সেকেন্ডের পরেও, 6 সেকেন্ডের পরে আমি দেখলাম 7 সেকেন্ড পর্যন্ত, ইফ আই ট্রাই টু ক্যালকুলেট দি ভেলোসিটি ইউজিং দিস, I find that V7 turns out to be less than 0, which is not possible here, because if the force is not there, the velocity cannot be minus. So it means that beyond 6 seconds, এই 6 seconds এর পরে গিয়ে কোথাও একটা ও হচ্ছে কি এর মানে তোমার যে ফ্রিকশনের ইম্পালস আর এইটুকু যে ইম্পালস দিয়েছে এই দুটো ব্যালেন্স করে যাবে। So what I mean to say, if I take this time interval as delta t, I take this time interval as delta t, then I can write that this, দেখো আমরা লিখতে পারি 20 should be equal to now, দেখো ফ্রিকশন কতক্ষণ কাজ করলো? 5 থেকে 6, 1 সেকেন্ড কাজ করলো প্লাস ডেল্টা টি। তার মানে আমরা লিখছি এটা, this is equal to 40 into 1 plus delta t. What it means from here, that 1 plus delta t, that becomes equal to 0.5, which is delta t is turning out to be negative. Delta t is turning out to be negative. So what does that mean? It means that as soon as t equal to 6 seconds, your force is gone. Your force is gone here. No force is there, and your friction force is very high. So it means now the particle will come to a stop. It will not able to move further, because you see, if this force vanishes after t equal to 6 seconds, you see your force becomes 0. So if the force is 0, there should not be any friction force also. So it means that the velocity of the particle at t equal to 6 seconds, as soon as your force gets totally vanished, your friction force also becoming 0, and we see that the velocity will try to be 0. So the particle will again have totally 0 velocity at this point. And this can be also mathematically proved here by saying that your velocity turns out to be negative. So it indicates basically, you see, after t equal to 6 seconds, as soon as your force becomes 0, because you know at t equal to 6 seconds, your force P becomes entirely 0. And since the force becomes entirely 0, if you see this force is 0, it means that your, naturally the friction force will also not be there. So everything will simply vanish at this position. So it means that your velocity during this particle, during this phase, is coming out to be equal to 0. So that will be your answer. So you can say at t equal to 7 seconds, the velocity must be 0 and see your answer. This is S. V7 is turning out to be as 0. So it means therefore that you know that as your force becomes completely vanished here, you see that it is not able to sustain. But you see there would have been velocity. এখানে velocity থাকতে পারতো, কি রকম ভাবে থাকতে পারতো? Had your graph been something like this, এইরকম উঠতো, উঠে এই গ্রাফেই আমি velocity দিতে পারবো। কিভাবে? আমি এই যে ফ্রিকশনের কোফিসিয়েন্টটাকে এটাকে কমিয়ে দিলাম, কমিয়ে ধরো এটাকে করে দিলাম হচ্ছে 0.2 বা 0.25 মিউ কে। See then your friction force will come down. এখানে এই ঝামেলাটা কেন হয়েছে? It is because that it is 40 পাউন্ড। এই 40 পাউন্ড যেখানেই হয়েছে, এই জায়গাটায় যেখানেই এসে এটাকে কাট করে বেরিয়ে গেছে, এর পরেই হয়ে গেছে কি 40 পাউন্ড ফ্রিকশন রয়েছে, অথচ এই ফোর্সটা ম্যাগনিটিউডটা কমতে শুরু করেছে। হ্যাঁ, সো and since it was having a positive velocity, দেখো v4 এ পজিটিভ ভেলোসিটি ছিল, তার মানে কি? তার মানে এই ফোর্সটা কম, ফ্রিকশন কাইনেটিক ফ্রিকশন বেশি, সো ইটস ভেলোসিটি ইজ বেসিক্যালি ডিক্রিজিং। তাহলে ডেসিলারেট করতে করতে এসছে, দেখো 4 সেকেন্ডে আমরা v4 বের করেছিলাম সামথিং অ্যারাউন্ড 12 ফিট পার সেকেন্ড। সো v4 ছিল হচ্ছে 12 ফিট পার সেকেন্ড। ইউ ক্যান অলসো ক্যালকুলেট v4 is how much, and you see at t equal to 5 seconds the velocity has dropped down. This drop is only possible because your driving force has become smaller, whereas your kinetic coefficient of friction being higher, its kinetic friction force becomes greater. So it means that it continuously provides deceleration into your system and your velocity therefore gradually decreases. And since after t equal to 6 seconds the force becomes completely 0, so it means that your friction force must also be 0. So it means that there is no, you can calculate the impulse and momentum just like I have done it, but it will be of no meaningful result because physically there is no force. If there is no P force, there should not be any friction force either. Correct? So that is the reason that your velocity will be equal to 0 at t equal to 7 seconds. তাহলে বোঝা গেল আমি কি বলতে চাইলাম?
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
হ্যাঁ, এই প্রবলেমটা কিন্তু দেখো একটু সোজা, দেখতে সোজা, কিন্তু এইখানে এই ছোট্ট ইন্ট্রিকেসি গুলো, এই ফ্রিকশন ভেতরে ঢুকে গেলেই কিন্তু প্রবলেমের মধ্যে একটু ইন্ট্রিকেসি তৈরি হবে, এবং সেই ইন্ট্রিকেসির জন্যই কিন্তু হচ্ছে যে এখানে তোমার ক্যালকুলেশনটা তোমাকে একটু কেয়ারফুলি করতে হবে। আমি আসলে এটা ওভারলুক করে গেছিলাম যে এখানে আমার এই ফ্রিকশন ফোর্সটা হচ্ছে 40 পাউন্ড। আই ডিড নট নোটিস ইট যে এটা উপরে গ্রাফের উপরে চলে যাচ্ছে, আমি দেখেছি এঁকেছি তাই, কিন্তু it did not actually click in my mind that since it is now going down there is no point of calculating the impulse momentum, just like the way we did not calculate any impulse momentum in this band. ঠিক আছে? So our time is up today. আমরা একটুখানি বেশি সময় নিয়ে ফেলেছি এখানে ক্যালকুলেশন গন্ডগোলের জন্য। Anyway, we stop here today at this point, and in our next class we will show you one more problem on this impulse momentum, all these things. We will show one more problem before finishing this chapter and taking up the new chapter and complete the sum. আচ্ছা, তাহলে ওই যে কে আমাদের যে বন্ধু যে আমাদের এই কোয়েশ্চেনটা, হ্যাঁ বলো, কিছু বলবে?
স্যার বলছি কি আমার অঙ্কটা একটু করে দিন না।
হ্যাঁ, সৌপায়ন রানা বাবু, আজকে তো একটু দেরি হয়ে গেল গো। আচ্ছা, আমি তোমাকে চট করে একটুখানি বলে দিচ্ছি, ঠিক আছে? তুমি নিজে করবার চেষ্টা করো এটা, আমি তোমাকে চট করে দেখিয়ে দিচ্ছি একটা। বলো।
স্যার ওইখানে যে p equals to 15t plus 20 লিখেছেন, ওইটা একটু বোঝাবেন?
15t plus 20 এইটা এই ইকুয়েশনটা, এটা
y equals to mx plus c এর ইকুয়েশন, এটা
এই তো স্টেপ লাইন ইকুয়েশন। এই যে 80 minus 20 y2 minus y1 হচ্ছে 60 by x2 minus x1, 4 minus 0 মানে 4, তাহলে 60 by 4 মানে হচ্ছে 15, আর c হচ্ছে 20, এক্স্যাক্টলি y equal to mx plus c। তাহলে এটা কি হবে, ইকুয়েশনটা এটা হবে না?
ওকে স্যার,
Simple
ইয়েস স্যার,
geometry, বুঝে গেছে?
স্যার V5
Yes,
এর
sir, yes,
ক্যালকুলেশন করবেন
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, কি হচ্ছে বলো,
ক্যালকুলেশনটা?
কি কে বলছো, পরিষ্কার করে বলো।
স্যার V5 এর ক্যালকুলেশনটা
হ্যাঁ,
ওটা একবার দেখান তো।
V5 এটা এটা
এখানে যে V5 -0 করেছেন কেন? আই মিন এখানে 2.67 হবে না টাইমটা? মানে সরি,
হ্যাঁ, তো টাইমটা 2.67 বলে আমি এটাকে 0 করেছি, এখানে তো ভেলোসিটিটা 0 ছিল।
ওকে ওকে।
আমি তো এই দেখো আমি কি করেছি, 2.67 থেকে 5 সেকেন্ড পর্যন্ত টোটাল ইম্পালসটাকে ক্যালকুলেট করেছি। তার কারণ হচ্ছে এইখানটাতে আমার দেখা যাচ্ছে তুমি যদি V4 অবধি ক্যালকুলেট করো, V4 এ এই বড় ফোর্সটা ইম্পালস দিচ্ছে, এন্ড ফ্রিকশন ফোর্স দেখো এই দুটোর বিয়োগফল হচ্ছে এই ট্রায়াঙ্গেলটা। সো তার মানে কি এই অবধি তোমার অ্যাক্সিলারেশন আছে 2.67 সেকেন্ডস থেকে 4 সেকেন্ড পর্যন্ত দেয়ার ইজ অ্যাক্সিলারেশন। কিন্তু 4 সেকেন্ডসে রিচ করে যাওয়ার পরেই দেখো ড্রাইভিং ফোর্সের ম্যাগনিটিউডটা পড়ে গেছে, কিন্তু ফ্রিকশন ফোর্স তো বেশিই হয়ে আছে, ফ্রিকশন ফোর্স তো আর কনস্ট্যান্ট। তার মানে কি 4 সেকেন্ডস থেকে 5 সেকেন্ড পর্যন্ত দেয়ার উইল বি ডেসিলারেশন ইন দি সিস্টেম। ঠিক আছে, তাহলে এই ডেসিলারেশন ইন দি সিস্টেম কেন? তার কারণ হচ্ছে যে ম্যাগনিটিউড অফ দি পি ফোর্স ইজ লেস দ্যান 40 পাউন্ড। তার মানে আমাকে দেখতে হবে দেয়ার ইজ এ চান্স দ্যাট দি V5 ভেলোসিটি ক্যান বি 0। ঠিক আছে, তাহলে সেইটা আমরা হিসেব করে দেখলাম যে V5 ইজ স্টিল পজিটিভ। তাহলে V5টা এখনো পজিটিভ, তার মানে হচ্ছে V5 যদি পজিটিভ থাকে তাহলে এরও পরে কিছু দূর গিয়ে তোমার হচ্ছে যে তোমার হচ্ছে গিয়ে তোমার এই বস্তুটা 0 হয়ে যাবে। এবং সেটা কতটা হবে না, যেহেতু দেখো এটা 20 পাউন্ড আর এটা 40 পাউন্ড, তার মানে এই দুটোর ইম্পালসের ডিফারেন্স যে কোনো সময় হচ্ছে -20 ইন্টু ডেল্টা টি। যদি আমি 5 সেকেন্ডের থেকে ডেল্টা টি হিসেব করি তাহলে -20 ডেল্টা টি হচ্ছে এই দুটোর ইম্পালসের ডিফারেন্স। আর V5 ছিল হচ্ছে কত, 6.41। তাহলে দেখো তুমি এখান থেকে হিসেব করতে পারো যে -20 ডেল্টা টি, তার মানে এখান থেকেই তুমি বলতে পারো যেটা -20 ইন্টু ডেল্টা টি, this must be equal to the mass is 100 by 32.2। আমি অ্যাজিউম করে নিচ্ছি যে কতক্ষণ বাদে গিয়ে জিনিসটা শূন্য হবে। তার মানে কি আমি ধরে নিচ্ছি যে এই ভেলোসিটিটা যদি আমি ধরে নিই যে 6 সেকেন্ডের পরেতে গিয়েও মানে ভেলোসিটিটা হয়তো রয়েছে, মানে 6 সেকেন্ডেও হয়তো আমার ভেলোসিটি আছে, তাহলে আমি দেখতে চাইছি যে আমার এই ডেল্টা টিটা কত, 1 সেকেন্ডের চাইতে বেশি। তার মানে কি দিস মাস্ট বি ইকুয়াল টু 0, কারণ ইনিশিয়াল ভেলোসিটি আমি ধরে নিচ্ছি 0, মাইনাস এটা হচ্ছে 6.41। তাহলে এইটাকে যদি তুমি হিসেব করো তাহলে দেখো তোমার কত হচ্ছে, এটা মাইনাস মাইনাস ক্যান্সেল হয়ে যাবে। তাহলে ডেল্টা টিটা কত হবে দেখো, ডেল্টা টিটা হবে 5 বাই 32.2 5 বাই 32 বাই 20 আর 100 কাটাকাটি হয়ে 5 বাই 32.2 ইন্টু হচ্ছে কত 6.41। তার মানে দেখো ইট ইজ 0.995 সেকেন্ডস, মানে অ্যাপ্রক্সিমেটলি ডেল্টা টি ইজ টার্নিং আউট টু বি ইকুয়াল টু 1 সেকেন্ড অ্যাপ্রক্সিমেটলি। তার মানে কি দেখো এইখান থেকে এই যে আমি বললাম ডেল্টা টিটা কোথার থেকে ধরেছি, আমি 5 সেকেন্ডের পরের থেকে আমি ধরছি, তাই তো, মানে 5 সেকেন্ডের সরি 5 সেকেন্ড বলছি, 6 সেকেন্ডের পরের থেকে ধরছি। তার মানে অ্যাপ্রক্সিমেটলি আর সরি আমি ভুল বললাম, সরি একটু ভুল বললাম, আমি এখানটাতে V5টার থেকে ধরেছি ডেল্টা টিটা, সরি। তার মানে 5 সেকেন্ডের পরের থেকে আমি ডেল্টা টিটা ধরছি, তার মানে অ্যাপ্রক্সিমেটলি আমার ডেল্টা টিটা আসছে হচ্ছে 1 সেকেন্ড। তার মানে বোঝাচ্ছে 6 সেকেন্ডে যে মুহূর্তে তোমার ফোর্স 0 হয়ে গেল, the moment your velocity becomes কি বলে তোমার এই ফোর্সটা 0 হলো, I mean to say your P force becomes 0, the moment your P force becomes 0, the friction is gone and your velocity becomes simply 0. তার মানে কি এই V5 এই ভেলোসিটিটা থাকলো যেমন ছিল, and then we find that V6 turns out to be simply 0. So it means that at 6 seconds the velocity is 0 and then 0 will continue. সুতরাং any question beyond t equal to 6 seconds your answer must be 0. So that you just verify from this এই যে এই ক্যালকুলেশনটার থেকে আমি নীল বোর্ডের এই পার্টটার থেকে আমি দেখাচ্ছি, এখান থেকে দেখে আমি বলতে পারছি যে আফটার টি ইকুয়াল টু 5 সেকেন্ডস, কারণ 5 সেকেন্ড পর্যন্ত আমি এই ভেলোসিটিটা পেয়েছি, 5 সেকেন্ডের পরে ডেসিলারেশন, কারণ তখনও ফোর্স কাজ করছে, 5 সেকেন্ডের পরেও দেখো তোমার কিন্তু পি ফোর্সটা কাজ করছে অফ লেসার ম্যাগনিটিউড। তাহলে আমি ধরতে পারি যে এই ব্যান্ডের মধ্যে মানে ডেল্টা টিটা তাহলে 1 সেকেন্ডের কম হতে হবে। যদি আমি 1 সেকেন্ডের কম পাই তার মানে আমি বুঝবো যে এই মুহূর্তে এখানেই কিন্তু ওর ভেলোসিটিটা শূন্য হয়ে যাবে, তাই তো? এবং এক্স্যাক্টলি তাই দাঁড়ালো, দেখো ডেল্টা টি বিকামস 0.995, মানে which can be approximately taken as 1 second for our purpose, and we can see that therefore V6 becomes 0, and if V6 is 0, V7 must be 0. আচ্ছা বাবু, সোপায়ন নাকি তোমার নাম? সোপায়ন রানা, তুমি একটু হোল্ড করো, হ্যাঁ আমরা নেক্সট দিন ক্লাসের পরে দেখিয়ে দিই।
ওকে স্যার, ওকে ঠিক আছে।
হ্যাঁ, আমি এর মধ্যে আমি আসলে সেদিনই অঙ্কটা করে রেখেছি, কিন্তু আমি আসলে ক্লাসে, কারণ এই অঙ্কটা একটু ভালো অঙ্ক, আমি একটা ছোট্ট জাস্ট হিন্ট তোমাকে দিয়ে রাখতে পারি, তোমরা যদি সেটা ধরে করতে পারো তাহলে দেখতে পারো। সেটা হচ্ছে যে, আচ্ছা তাহলে আমরা এক কাজ করি, তাহলে আমি আগে আমার সলিউশনটা তোমাদেরকে বৃহস্পতিবার দিন শুক্রবার ক্লাসের আগে আমি শেয়ার করে দেবো, এন্ড সেই সলিউশনটা নিয়ে আমরা কথা বলবো শুক্রবার দিন। আমি ইচ্ছে করে সলিউশনটা শেয়ার করিনি তখনই, কারণ আমি এটা ভেবেছিলাম যে ক্লাসে এটা ডিসকাস করব, সকলেই যাতে দেখতে পায়। কি ঠিক আছে? হ্যাঁ, আমি গ্রুপেই এটা পোস্ট করে দেবো যাতে সবাই গ্রুপে দেখতে পায়, কিন্তু আই উইল ডিসকাস ইট ইন দি ক্লাস ফর এ সেকেন্ড। আর আমাদের আজকের এই অঙ্কটা অনেকটা সময় নিয়ে নিল, আমারও কিছুটা বোকামির জন্য এবং ভুলের জন্য। এনিওয়ে, আমরা নেক্সট দিন ক্লাসে আরেকটা অঙ্ক করে আমরা এই চ্যাপ্টারটা শেষ করব। আমি এই জন্য 2 দিন ধরেই রেখেছিলাম যে এই চ্যাপ্টারটার জন্য 2 দিন লাগবে, তাই নেক্সট দিন ক্লাসে আমরা এটা শেষ করে আমরা নতুন চ্যাপ্টারটা ধরে নেব, কারণ আমাদের হাতে মাত্র 3 দিন সময় আছে পুজোর ছুটির আগে সেটাকে কমপ্লিট করবার। এই তো আমাদেরকে লিস্ট পাঠিয়ে দিয়েছে কবে কবে ক্লাস, সুতরাং সেই দিন ক্লাস হবে।
ইয়েস স্যার।
তাহলে আজকে আমরা এই অবধি রাখি।
ওকে স্যার,
হ্যাঁ,
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
আচ্ছা তাহলে আমরা ওইটা খেয়াল রেখো, আমাকে আবার একটুখানি মনে করিয়ে দিও সোপায়ন, তোমার দায়িত্ব থাকলো হচ্ছে যে এই অঙ্কটাকে ক্লাসে একবার ডিসকাস করে দেওয়া। যদিও আমি সলিউশনটা গ্রুপে পোস্ট করে দিচ্ছি, আজকে না, শুক্রবার দিন দেবো।
ঠিক আছে, আমি দিন তারপর বলবো।
হ্যাঁ,
Okay, sir.
ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ।
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.